Hey everybody, and welcome to the newest segment that I'll be doing every once in a while. I'm calling this segment Just the Tip, as it will be me reviewing games but only at a first glance, a couple hours maximum. If I like the game enough during my Just the Tip research, I will do a full review when the game comes out, after I've played it ad nauseum. By the end of the Just the Tip videos, you should have a good idea whether or not I plan on doing a full review in the future, so without further ado, Shadowcrypt. Shadowcrypt is a 2D action platformer by 1-Bit Punch that is heavily influenced by the classic game Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Now, Zelda 2 was quite the difficult game whose combat I just couldn't get down for one reason or another as I played it in my past. The main difficulty of the combat shared by both games is that blocking, which is controlled by a separate button in normal games, is instead treated as your character's static animation. Now one might think, that's great, I don't have to press anything to block. Well, yeah, but the main issue with this is that you can't press anything to block. In Shadowcrypt, your character's guard becomes non-existent while attacking, jumping, walking, climbing, and even shield bashing. This makes it counterintuitive sometimes, when I feel like I should jump away from damage, where instead I should have stood up and took it with my shield like a man. I think this mechanic, as hard as it makes the game, is a very refreshing style of fighting that I'm glad was reawakened by Shadowcrypt. Now, moving on from blocking, you have a very simple movement set in Shadowcrypt, and I think this is one of the examples of a time where simplicity makes something beautiful. The combat is pretty much the exact same as Zelda 2, all but the addition of two main features, the ability to shield bash and the ability to throw javelins, both integral parts of the combat. Shield bashing becomes your best friend very early in your play of Shadowcrypt, and you'll find yourself shield bashing more than you attack on certain enemies. I believe the main reason this feature stands out to me is because it's necessary for your survival. Like all classic games, touching your foes with your squishy flesh causes you to take damage, while they're left unscathed. What does this mean for the AI of enemies? Well, this means that they all try to body your character against a wall and just walk into you. Not to say all enemies are programmed to do this, but alongside swinging their various animations at me, I found them simply grinding up to me with their bony bodies, trying to put me down more often than anything. Another feature of the game, to make it difficult, is the fact that, like many classic games, Shadowcrypt has no saving function. Not only that, but you only get to live 3 times to beat the game, or you start over from the first room. And this isn't a procedurally generated game or anything, it's just unforgiving. Also, to those who think that 3 lives is plenty to beat the game, just wait until you die for the first time and your weapon and shield are reset to factory settings. And while I'm on the topic, weapon and shields don't really tell you what they do, short of the damage, before you pick them up. Unless you read the digital guide that the game came with, that I had no idea that I had. It forces you to slowly figure out the equipment and learn as you go, and that's something I miss about newer games. I don't want my hand held, I want you to give me an adventure. Getting killed by an axe-throwing skeleton despite your fire-enchanted silver sword? Too bad. He just got harder. Welcome back to 3 to 7 damage per hit, my friend. And for that, I thank Shadowcrypt. And 1-Bit Punch for making it. It's the kind of gut-wrenching, ball-clenching hardness that made me love video games growing up. It just feels honest. And having to find my weapons again, to travel through the dungeon so many times, just made me feel more connected to the nameless crypt runner that I controlled. The story tells us that he is the last of his order, and we know why. These skeletons are not messing around. All these factors together has Shadowcrypt delivering the adventure I needed when I went in, and I highly recommend it to anyone interested in the genre. Check out the description below for links on how to purchase it and check it out. Its greenlight page on Steam is below as well. I will certainly be picking it up, and I hope you do too. There is plenty of content left in this dungeon crawler. This is just the tip. Expect a full review when I purchase and beat the retail version. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.